Hey guys and welcome. In this video I want to show you an alternative to Alibaba, AliExpress, DHgate and a lot of those other usual sourcing websites. In my experience, this website usually allows you to find products cheaper than a lot of those other ones that I just mentioned, and also a lot of the time you can also get them faster as well. One of the main benefits of this website is, for the most part, it's just manufacturers. With Alibaba and some of those, a lot of the time if you go in and look at the profile, it's actually suppliers as well, which are essentially acting as middlemen. They're taking the product from the manufacturer and then advertising it on Alibaba and then selling it on to you at a small profit. On global sources, for the most part, they're only manufacturers, so you're buying direct from the source. Using this website in the past, I found the exact same products for up to 50% cheaper than the other websites I just mentioned. I'm at Global Sources right now, and it's simply just globalsources.com. If you've ever been to Alibaba before, you're going to notice that the website is very similar looking. And depending where you are in your product research, you may already have a product in mind, and if you do, simply put it in here up in the search bar. As I said earlier, with this website you're going to be able to find a lot of products way cheaper. And being able to find those products cheaper is going to give you a lot more options. And what I mean by this is, if you can find a product for 1 cent, and believe me, there's a lot on this website that cheap, you can easily beat your competition by bundling. So for example, depending on what the product is, you may very well be able to bundle 10 or 20 of something together to beat out the competition. Or obviously, if you're buying something as cheap as 1 cent or 5 cents, you may be able to sell less volume but at a much higher profit margin. Okay, so enough with the talking and let's get into the good stuff. Let's start searching. The first thing that I like to do is to start off with a site-wide search, and the best way to do this is a little trick. You can also do this on Amazon and on some of those other websites as well, is if you hit the minus key and then just anything, it doesn't matter what you type in, you want the minus sign and then just type in a few letters, hit enter. What it's basically going to do is go off and search that website for every single other product except for what we just searched for. So as you can see here, 2.5 million, just under 2.5 million results. And then the next thing that we do, as I promised, is if we go down here, one of the things that you can do is limit the price. So as I said earlier, let's just put in 1 cent. Let's just see what you can find for 1 cent. And there you go, 133,000 results for products that are 1 cent. So let's just scroll down, go through and see what jumps out. What I typically like to do, like this one for example, what I like to do is to try and find something that seems valuable to me. Like, does this seem like it's worth 1 cent or 5 cents? I mean, even if you could buy this at $1. But for 1 cent, this seems good value for money for me. So let's just click on it. And as you can see, 1 cent if you buy 3,000 pieces. Now don't get put off by having to buy a higher volume. I know a lot of people, when they teach it, they say typically buy 200 to 500 units, and if you're paying $20 per unit for example, then that absolutely makes sense. But I'll pull the calculator up now. 1 cent times 3,000, you're looking at $300. You know, so for 3,000 of these bags for $300. I know it seems crazy, but this is what I'm talking about when you can get really good deals on this website. So the next thing that we want to do is head over to Amazon and just see if we can find a product which is somewhat comparable to that. So what was it? Duffel bag. So let's just go through here, find something that looks somewhat similar, somewhat comparable, just to get a price comparison if nothing else. Okay, so this one compared to this one. They're not exactly the same, but they're pretty comparable. And this one is $34.99. So the next thing that we want to do, just to try and get some idea of profit margins and whether we think that this could potentially work. This isn't taking into consideration how many of these duffel bags are currently being sold and the level of competition. That's another area of your product research. But just to try and find out whether can we even make money out of this. If we can, how much can we make? Particularly, how much can we make per unit? So I want to go into this, get the number. So let's just copy this ASIN number here and then head over to the Amazon revenue calculator. Simply just plug it in here. And scroll down. So here we're just going to put in the amount, which I can't remember how much it was now. $34.99. So $34.99. It's going to be about $1. I wouldn't even say that. It's going to be a lightweight bag, but let's just put $1 in for simplicity's sake, having it sent from the manufacturer over to the warehouses. And then the cost of the product is 1 cent. Okay, so as you can see, for every single sale that you make, you're going to make $23. Now, as I say, I don't know what the competition would be like over here. I'm not going to look into that. That can be in another video. But as you can appreciate, if you're buying something very, very cheap, this is how people really scale up their business and their income, by buying things as cheap as possible and selling them at the same price as everybody else. So whereas you may be able to go over to Alibaba and buy this bag for maybe $5 or something, if you're buying it way cheaper at this global sources, you can then go over here and compete with these very easily. And one of the other great things that I like to do over here at global sources as well is, if we just come back, is you're able to limit the lead time. So if we come up here, this bar here, lead time, if you want to find anything, for example 7 days, you only want a 7-day lead time on these products. There's still 16,500 products that you can potentially buy at 1 cent, or in this case looks like it's now 10, and there's a lead time of 7 days. And this again makes a huge difference when you're comparing directly against Alibaba, for example. There's no more waiting 30 to 45 days manufacturing time in some cases. As I say, 16,000 products that are stating that there's a lead time of 7 days. That's a huge difference in how quickly you can rotate your inventory around. What I recommend you do is just come to the website and just play around with it. Just plug in, as I said, the minus sign and then whatever you want here. It really doesn't matter. And then just start playing around with it. Have a real good look around the website. Like, what can you find for 1 cent? What can you find for 10 cents? What can you find for $1, $2? Just play around with it and get a real feel for what you feel that you can find. And then also take into consideration the lead time as well. And also one other thing to take into consideration as well, in case you were wondering, is they do have verified manufacturers, which is very comparable to the trade assurance on Alibaba. And that's one thing that you really do want, regardless of whatever website you're on, one thing that you really do want to make sure that you take into consideration. You always want to vet your suppliers or manufacturers wherever it is, whatever website it is that you're purchasing from. But as you can see, I just ticked that and it took it from 16,000 down to 10,000, so it's 10,000 products that you can have manufactured within 7 days very inexpensively. So good luck with your product research, and if you have any comments or questions, just leave them down in the comments section below and I'll do my best to answer as many of them as possible. Thanks for watching.